Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. Her word my hope secures. She will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Thank you, Julie. That was marvelous. Very lovely. And now, Reverend Michael Brown will share with us. But first, Lisa Fuller will share a little bit about Michael.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce the Reverend Michael Brown. He and his wife, Diane Fuller Brown, served as student ministers at Buff many years ago while they were in training. And then Michael went on to serve as the lead minister at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria for about 30 years. He retired last year and now lives in Santa Fe with his wife, Diane. Diane is also Jim Fuller's sister. So we are pleased to welcome Diane and Reverend Michael to service today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys hear me okay?
We can.
So I just want to say that it's very good to be with you this morning. It's really a special thing. Seeing people that we know. I hope we'll get a chance to talk more later. And some people we don't know yet, and looking forward to meeting you. But Diane and I certainly have had lots of wonderful times in Berrien UU Fellowship, and it's part of our life, part of our UU life and our family life. So thank you for inviting me. Today is not a very typical Sunday in the United States of America, because we're really in a state of shock, I think, over what's been happening in our country. And so I first of all want to offer condolences to the family of George Floyd, who have suffered a horrible loss that didn't need to happen by any stretch of the imagination. And I really appreciated this morning the first piece of music and video showing us all the pictures of these people who have lost their lives totally needlessly and violently. So there's a huge loss that hangs over us, really. I sometimes don't think I can even totally take it in, but it's there. And so I feel like we need to talk about it a little bit, and I want to talk about a couple other things too. But we do have to acknowledge that there is a wound in this country around racism and white supremacy. And it's just a reality. I mean, it's just there. It's a dragon. It's a dragon. It exists. It's been part of our culture on this continent for 400 years now. We're actually, it was last August, it was the 400th anniversary of the first slaves being brought to Jamestown. So this is something that we have to address. I mean, there's just no other choice. We don't have any good choices other than to acknowledge this dragon and to do everything in our power to heal this complex. In a way it's complex, in a way it's very simple. It's just about respecting every person. So, like all of you, I did not enjoy seeing fires and violent behavior on the streets last night on TV. It breaks my heart that we could be in a spot like that. Why should that be happening? And yet, in a way, it makes perfect sense that it's happening. Martin Luther King said, a riot is the language of the unheard. A riot is the language of the unheard. So we, as a culture, have been very lacking, just extraordinarily lacking in hearing and listening to and paying attention to huge proportions of our citizens. And now we're in a tough spot. Another thing that Martin Luther King asked in one of his famous speeches was the question, how long will it take? There's a whole sermon he did on that. It's worth listening to. How long will it take? And in King's sermon, he would answer, not long, not long. But we also know that it's been a long time since he gave that sermon. And the time is here. The time is right now, right this minute. How long will it take? So even before this happened in Minneapolis, we were already in a state of crisis. We already had a crisis going on, and it's still going on too. As we face this little tiny entity that we're having a fierce battle with that you can't even see with your naked eye. But these little entities are so powerful that they have already killed more Americans than the Vietnam War, Gulf War, Afghanistan War, and Iraq wars combined. So far, over 100,000 people. And it's clearly not over yet. We're not at the end of that. So we already had that crisis going on. So I'm saying then that we are a people who are living in an unhealthy way on multiple levels right now. We seem to be a people who have lost our path. We are just lost right now. Seem to be trapped in an endless cycle of horrible decisions, one after another. And we're just desperate, I think, and longing for some kind of real leadership that will tell us what we need to do, stand up and exemplify it. We're looking for answers, I believe, right now. So even before these horrible events happened in Minneapolis, I was thinking about what kind of resources do we have in this difficult time that we're in? What are our resources? How do we keep from being overwhelmed? And I heard someone recently say these words. What I heard was, innovation and inspiration are the cure for despair. Or the other version, which I've also heard, that Jim mentioned, innovation and inspiration are the antidote for despair. So that is a fascinating idea. The first time I heard it spoken, I didn't pay that much attention, really. I just thought that's pretty interesting. And then the second time I said, I'm going to pay some attention to that idea. That sounds like something valuable to me. So in a few minutes, I'll tell you who said those words. But for right now, I just want to see if we can unpack this idea a little bit and see if, in the face of these two very serious challenges of the coronavirus and the virus of racism that's we're all infected with to one degree or another. And you know what? We could list a few more crises if we want, but I'm going to stop just with those two for the morning. There'll be other mornings. What options do we have? And I want to consider these possibilities of innovation and inspiration. So as we struggle to wipe out the virus, our world is just buzzing with innovation. There are just all kinds of things going on, including people trying to find a cure for us that would treat the disease, and also trying to find a vaccine which would avoid the disease before it happens. There are hundreds and possibly thousands, I don't know exactly, of projects going on all over the planet right now. People in labs trying to unlock the secret of how, and they're giving it everything they got. I mean, the world of science is going full bore to try to find this. We are so involved in this search for treatment that if a rumor comes out at 9 o'clock in the morning that there might be a treatment for COVID-19 or a vaccine, by about 11 o'clock, the stock market will change, maybe by 500 or more points, just on a rumor. People just want to hope. I want to hope. I want the cure just like everyone else. And a lot of these rumors turn out to be false. They don't have any substance, but they have influence. It's so powerful. And so that's a kind of innovation that is going on right now. This service, by the way, is an innovation. This is my first service on Zoom. I've been on some online services before, but not through Zoom. Zoom is a powerful thing in our world right now. I hope it doesn't go down and become irretrievable. And so innovation is not going on in just science. There are all these things going on right now about how to get people food. I don't know if you're undoubtedly aware of some of that. Chef Jose Andres has organized restaurants and food producers to get together and create meals on a large scale. You've probably heard about him. He's giving thousands and thousands of meals, and he's doing it all around the country. He did it in Puerto Rico after the hurricane. He is also involved right now in bringing food to the Navajo Nation, which is about 100 miles from where Diane and I are sitting this morning, and is the hottest hotspot in the United States for coronavirus. So that's another one of his projects. Doctors Without Borders are in the Navajo Nation at this time, which we're very grateful for. So there's all kinds of projects like that. I'll tell you about one more. In Wuhan, China, where the coronavirus first emerged, there is a young woman, young adult named Xian Lu, who kind of just showed up one day in Wuhan and started cooking meals for the medical workers, doctors, nurses, all those people in Wuhan. She cooked 20,000 meals in her first 40 days. And now she continues doing about 400 a day. She has her helpers organized, and they cook for people and deliver it to medical personnel. She is known as the Raincoat Girl. That's her name, the Raincoat Girl, because she wears this raincoat every day when she shows up and cooks. You could look her up under Raincoat Girl, but not right now. These are inspiring stories, I think. So innovation, I want to just say that innovation has several different kinds of effects. So one of the effects is that it can have an impact on a specific problem. It can make a difference. It can bring food. It could bring PPE. It could create a vaccine. It could have an impact. It can change the lives of people in that community. Innovation, though, has other effects other than the practical effect. It can bring hope. It can bring hope to us. When we hear that there's something happening that may influence this, we feel a lift of hope if it seems like it's genuine. It lifts our spirits. It also makes us feel like there's a pathway forward. And real innovation also transforms the lives of the people who are doing that project. Those people's lives get changed forever. And we see that going on in the world right now, that people who are involved in some of the most, you can tell that they're different people from when they started. It gives those folks a sense of purpose, of self-worth, of connectedness with their communities. I got to tell you this other one. Is a young man in Cameroon named Christian Achaleke. He got the formula for hand sanitizer from the WHO. I think he just got it off the website. And he just started making hand sanitizer on his own in Cameroon. And then he just got his guys, which were some kind of Boy Scouts or something, and they went out into the country and they started giving away hand sanitizer that they had made. They worked in conjunction with medical people, so it was real. It wasn't a bogus thing. I don't know what to say about that. So I want to think for a moment, what would innovation look like in the dimension of racial justice? How would innovation be possible, and what would be the innovations? And of course, we can't know that for sure because we're in the middle of it. We don't know what ideas are going to come up. So I don't know what the specifics are, but it's very likely that we need an innovative way of training police in the United States. There needs to be a new training program. It's obvious that is true. Police need to be trained in ways of performing their office, which are respectful of people and do it from the point of view of every person having worth and dignity. They need to be trained in de-escalation techniques. These things are all very clear to us. we know that there is a huge need for prison reform. It's a glaring need in the United States for prison reform. Mass incarceration is still in effect, even though it may have been mitigated, it's basically still in effect. And if you want to look at a strange intersection of two different crises that is tragic, look at the intersection of the drastic need for prison reform and the conditions in prisons, and then add COVID-19 to that, add the other crisis. And then you see an intersection which is just deadly. So we see how these different needs intersect with each other. So prison reform is an obvious thing that's going to have to be innovated. Gun safety laws, there's obviously going to have to be innovation in that area so that not everybody's walking around with a gun. And by the way, I would like to just suggest an opinion on this, but it's not original with me. I can't remember where I got it. That one of the reasons police officers are too much ready to shoot some people, too quick to shoot, is because in the United States, with our gun laws, you have to assume that anybody might have a gun. And so I think there's an intersection there too. If it wasn't so prevalent that everybody had guns all over the place, including kids, then I think that would intersect with new training for police officers to not assume that everybody has a gun. A lot of these tragedies have come about because a police officer thought somebody had a gun and they didn't. So there's going to be more innovations that we cannot foresee in that area, but we can't allow these kinds of atrocities to continue. We just can't do this as a people. It's not an option. It has to change. So I want to say a couple words about inspiration. And I want to say that those were three of my favorite hymns this morning that inspired me. Those are inspiring pieces of music. So we need inspiration. We need leaders that inspire us in our houses of worship, in our communities, our schools, our police departments, and in our government from top to bottom. We need new inspirational leaders. And there may have to be a lot of change in that department, a lot of change. Inspiration comes to us in different ways. And we need inspiration so that we do not fall into the pit and never get out of it, the pit of despair. Inspiration gets us out of that pit. I am totally inspired by the medical people right now who are treating COVID-19. Doctors, nurses, ER people, ICU people, EMT people, medical people who are acting in self-sacrificing ways. I'm so grateful for that. I don't know how to express it, except like maybe we'll go to New York and bang on a pot. That might be good enough. I want to say that I personally am inspired every day by people who speak the truth. Even when it is not comfortable or convenient to do that, who speak the truth and risk their reputations and their livelihood and their income and their future careers by telling the truth. Those people right now are carrying our democracy on their backs. They're keeping democracy alive till we can get there and reform it. And I'm enormously grateful to those people. I want to say that I'm inspired by activists who show up and refuse to let racism and other forms of injustice continue unanswered, who make signs and call representatives and show up in bad weather We had a rally in Santa Fe one day when it was raining. It was horrible. And the leaders of the demonstration had made a deal for some mariachis to come and play at our demonstration. And I thought, they're not going to come. The mariachis showed up. So it was inspiring. It really was. And it shows how many different ways we can be inspired. So the sources of inspiration are all around us. They're in the music we hear. They're on comedy talk shows for some of us, in our families, our stories of heroes. So we need to pay attention to the sources of inspiration that touch us, because it makes a difference. And I'll just make one suggestion, and that is you might want to have some kind of little journaling thing, maybe online, or good Lord, maybe even on a piece of paper or something. And every day you might write down one or two things that inspired you in that day. Something that lifted your spirits that happened in the world. So, and regarding innovation, I would just ask you, is there something going on that's innovative that you want to support? Is there a project going on that you might want to contribute to? Or is there something you might want to do in your garage? I don't know. If you can find the vaccine in your garage, then please do it. Is there something going on that's innovative that you want to support? All right. I said I would tell you who said this sentence, that innovation and inspiration are the cure for despair, or the antidote. And that person's name is Rachel Maddow. And she said it on her show twice. And the second time I really perked up. So I think, our news people have to report this bad news all day, every day. And so I know that they must struggle with how they can keep doing that and stay strong. And I think that what she is saying, although I can't read her mind, but I think she's saying this, even in very profoundly difficult times, we need to ask ourselves, what is it that inspires us in this situation? What element of this is an inspiration? And what element of this is creative and innovative that could be a key to our getting out of our various abysses and into a better world? What element of whatever's happening could help us do that and that we could support? Then if we do that, we can say, like in Rumi's song, that ours is no caravan of despair. So our times are deeply troubling. Our nation is at a moment of very profound decisions. In the next 6 months, we will make decisions that will change the history of this country forever in one way or another. We have to have a forward-looking view. At least I think it would be helpful, towards innovation, inspiration, compassion, honesty, and justice. If we can do that, we can still find our way towards a land where every life is valued and George Floyd's death is not in vain. It's still within our reach, and we have the opportunity to bring it into reality, not all at once, but day by day and moment by moment. I'll close with these words of Leonard Mason, who wrote, "We affirm the unfailing renewal of life. We affirm a continuing hope that out of every tragedy, the spirit of individuals shall rise to create a better world." So may it be for us.